Folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, and joining us right now is Newsmax contributor Hank Sheinkopf, and I like to call him as a Democrat with a lot of sanity, like sort of like Ed Koch used to say he was a liberal with sanity. That's acceptable, no?
Well, he wasn't liberal, but he might have been sane. I mean, that's the question.
He might have been sane. All right, we just had one of the college professors at Rutgers, followed by a member of the college Republicans at Rutgers.
Right.
I mean, here we are in 2014. And it shouldn't be shocking because that you would think that would mean progress, and in some instances it does. But when it comes to conservative blacks, conservative Hispanics, conservative women, conservatives in general, they're not counted.
I don't see it that way, Steve. I mean, I agree with you, but here's the real problem to me. Here is a woman who has a PhD, who is a scholar, who has written extensively, who has published, who is the former Secretary of State, the former National Security Advisor, who is an African-American woman, has climbed to extraordinary heights. Mm-hmm. No one is saying, by the way, I disagree with your politics, but I really admire your accomplishments. That's what I'm disturbed by. You can't have it both ways. You know, here is somebody who's really accomplished something. We ought to salute them for that. We don't have to agree with their politics.
Oh, so you do? I mean, you do see it my way. They don't want her there, according to the professor who led the charge, because she lied. Consciously lied. I said, how do you know she lied, and how do you know she consciously lied? I said, about what? He said, about the fact that aluminum tubes could be used to make weapons of mass destruction. I said, that's the specific lie that you believe she consciously lied about? And it's just, it's terrible. Because I mean, to protest someone of her accomplishment, as you pointed out, she is probably the most successful African-American woman in the history of the United States of America. Yeah. And she's not welcome at Rutgers University.
And she is an academic.
Yes.
Which is most extraordinary, which tells you about the lack of diversity in thinking on campuses.
Absolutely. So when the bean counters talk about we need diversity, you know, we need to have quotas for diversity, they just mean skin color. They don't mean diversity of thought.
The problem with the diversity argument, frankly, is it's not working. Why isn't it working? Because what we're getting colleges admitting people who may be of color, but who certainly can, in many ways, afford their ability to get there. We're not diversifying the social scale at all.
And we're not diversifying the professors, the professorial, diversification. And we're having conservative professors and liberal professors and having a discussion.
There is no discussion.
There is no discussion. It's terrible. It really is terrible. When you have a 14-year-old son who, you know, is probably going to go to college because that's what you got to do, unless, you know, you have a job for him where he can make lots of money out of high school. Sadly. I know. Then he's going to be subject, and he speaks his mind, and I warn him now. Watch what you say, even though there's nothing.
My kid went through it. My son went through it, too. It's a very shocking thing because we have no place for people to meet anymore.
Yeah,
fraternal organizations, places where people of diverse viewpoints could meet and have comedy, as in COMITY, does not work anymore.
Yeah. All right. Big decision from the U.S. Supreme Court today, 5-4 decision. Sure. And Justice Kennedy wrote the majority opinion, and he said prayers are ceremonial and in keeping with the nation's traditions. And these prayers, the particular prayers of the ones that took place up in Greece, New York, before town council meetings. And people, the lower court said, it violates the constitutional prohibition of separation of church and state, whatever. That's not a prohibition. That's not in the Constitution. But freedom of religion, all that kind of stuff. States shall establish no religion. And they're saying, even though they're Christian in nature, they don't violate. They're just traditional. They're ceremonial. They're not preaching religion by having those prayers. Your opinion?
Let people pray. If more people prayed, maybe they'd shoot less people, okay? Maybe they'd put their work, their daily work to better use. Maybe there'd be less hostility. Maybe people would have more order, and maybe there would be some control in their behavior. The problem we have is that whether you're a Republican or Democrat, one thing is clear. We're losing the sense of shame in this country, and maybe prayer would get people to pay attention to it.
Well, I'm with you, and I don't see anything wrong with, we're a Judeo-Christian nation.
No, we're a Christian nation, which effectively by law says anybody can do what they want within, so long as they don't create public disruptions.
Well, Christian nation in number certainly, but our laws are based on the Judeo-Christian credo, and I think that there's nothing wrong.
If the world were better since the ban on prayer in school, I would like to know how someone proves that.
Right.
Are our children better behaved? Are we having better relationships with each other? Is the sense of community increasing in value? Are people meeting in more community settings to improve their communities? Are these things happening? Probably not. You know?
All right, let's talk about, I like this. This is quick action, baby. We go from topic to topic to topic. New poll.
Yep.
USA Today Pew Research Center poll shows that in a generic congressional ballot, the Republicans have a 4-point lead. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but historically, at this point, heading into a midterm, this is a greater lead than Republicans had in 2010 and in 1994. And according to this poll, Republicans are poised to just, not only increase the House representation, but take over the Senate.
The generic Republican advantage is very, very, very significant. The Republicans, if you take it down to the more lower level in the legislative races, essentially they had the pencil, they drew the reapportionment lines for state legislatures and seats and for congressional seats around the country. So they enjoyed advantage, but now they enjoy an attitudinal advantage, which is a whole different issue. So what I think you'll see probably is a pickup in the House of a reasonable amount of seats, and the marginal Democrats will be in deep trouble.
Only 41% approve of Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, as it's known by. At 55% disapprove. That's consistent with the poll's findings a month ago. And you have 65% of voters saying that they prefer that Obama's successor pursue policies that deviate from Obama's policies, compared to only 30 who say they hope the next president pursues a legislative agenda similar to Obama's. So what does that leave for Hillary to run on?
Midterm elections are often...
No, but this is for 16,
Midterm elections are generally a way for the public to tell you how they feel about the state of the nation at the time. And the Congress is nothing more than the whipping boy to beat the president, however you want to define that. What does it say for Hillary Clinton? She has to do what successful presidents have done, never mind candidates, which is break with the past, which is Obama, and create a new direction that somewhere triangulates between the two parties in a way that makes some sense.
Yeah, and you think that she's capable of doing that?
I absolutely do think she's capable of doing it. She's extraordinarily smart. She understands power. She's a terrific campaigner. And you know what? After Obama, the Democrats will be looking for relief, because they're going to get whipped so bad they'll make the Clinton 1994 midterm election look like a party here.
All right. Let's talk about a problem Hillary may encounter and may be strapped to her, maybe an albatross. And that's the Select Committee. Trey Gowdy, who says, he's a former prosecutor. And they're going to hopefully call Hillary and a bunch of other people. How does she skate from this?
It's not a question of how she escapes, it's how the Republicans commit electoral suicide, by pillaring her now. It didn't work when they did it to her husband. Do they really believe this is going to work now? And if they do it, do you know what they're going to do? They're going to prosecute her right into the White House.
With 4 dead Americans, and her saying, what difference does it make? And it coming out that, the parents coming up there saying Hillary told us, the parents of the dead people, the mother, saying Hillary told me when the body came home at the ceremony for my dead son that we're going to get the guy who made the video. When they testified to that, and she knew all along at that point, certainly it wasn't a video. You equate this to the sex scandal with Clinton?
Well, no, I don't. What I equate this to, I can't talk about sex.
No. You said what they did to Bill Clinton. I'm saying,
I'm talking about politics. I'm not equating the loss of life to having sex. You don't create. I'm in the election business. I'm not.
That's why I'm asking you.
You don't make her into a martyr or a heroine now. If you do that, what's going to happen? By beating her up in public, she should pray that they do it. Because even no matter what kind of evidence they bring to fore, the political ramifications, and I'm sorry about the deaths, and I am, as an American, I'm disgusted by the whole incident. But politics are something else. Politics have no morality. It's about winning or losing. Setting her up as a to morally castigate her will only create a heroine, and by that they will elect her president.
Is that because she's a woman?
Partly because she's a woman, also because, there's a general sense that change is required. She can come across as a centrist who was doing her job, that these were terrible things that occurred.
No, what I meant was, I'm sorry, maybe I castigating her and turning her into martyr will help her because she's a woman? In other words, if this was a man who would...
Partially because she's a woman, and partially because she's Hillary Clinton. And there's an expectation that she will be beaten up and that the Republicans will do this. And what that will do is create real problems. All she has to do is get up as a Clinton and say, when she chooses to run, I'm going to talk about economics and I'm going to talk about things that Obama's failed at, and she will be a great success.
Very interesting. Very quickly, 30 seconds. Marsha Blackburn was on, and she said Democrats threatening to boycott the hearings, the select committee, that they're hiding behind and have been hiding behind Hillary's skirt tails on Benghazi.
Republicans may want to have a Pyrrhic victory of gain, so the television viewers across the country will see this extraordinarily pillaring, and what they will do instead is they will create President Hillary Clinton. So let them have a good time.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much. All right, Hank Sheinkopf, ladies and gentlemen, on the Steve Malzberg Show. And you are not going to, believe me, you are not going to miss. I know Hank is sticking around just so he doesn't miss a second of the Gimme 5 that is coming up next on deck. You're going to love it, I promise you that. And an exciting hour ahead after Gimme 5 right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.